everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we're doing a review of a new movie with a huge title, X. That's it, that's the title of the movie.
Files?
Just plain old X.
Oh. Well, Safi?
Yes? I can't tell you who's in the movie. I don't recognize anybody.
People?
I can't do... There are... Let me think here. There are... let's see. There's 3 girls and 3 boys. And there's an old man and an old woman. They are the main stars of the movie. And by girls and boys, they're adult people.
Really?
They're not children. I'm
you
just
sure?
saying. I guess I should have said 3 males and 3 females, but
I don't think anyone cares.
well, just for a detail. But and the main group, the 3 guys and girls, they are porno movie makers, and they pick out this place in the middle of, and what I thought I didn't know anything about this movie. Marco knew more about it than I did, of course. I mean, I had no information on it whatsoever. In fact, I didn't even know the name. And so when it starts out, you think you're going to watch a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And I was kind of surprised because we just watched one of those, and that was the latest, and I didn't think they made any more. And I could have sworn, I thought, my God, this has to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The house in the country, the weird people, young people out in the middle of the nowhere, naive and not knowing what they're doing. But these were actually more adults than some of those people they usually show. They were porno movie makers, and there was the photographer and the director. They were a couple. And then there was an African-American guy. He was a star.
Safi, why are you explaining?
And I want to just tell the characters because I feel bad I don't know their names. And there's 2 porno girls. And then there was an owner, a ranger, probably head of the entire company, whatever that was. And those were the people, the young people. Well, it was probably, an X-rated film company, porno company.
Really? And
then you had this old couple, and they just lived in this house. They'd been in it forever. And they were old. I mean, had to be in their 90s. That's what they look like anyway. Okay, go ahead, Marco, since you really know a lot more about it than I do. Or at least in advance. What should people expect when they see this movie? What kind of movie is it?
Disappointment.
But what was it supposed to be?
Well, I don't know. This movie, it was really, really bad. And, I don't really have much else to say, so, Safi, why don't you talk about the movie?
Okay, well, let's see. Just as a warning, there was fake sex. That's a warning for all people who are offended by it. It doesn't offend me because it's fake. I don't care. It just, for some reason, it doesn't bother me because it's fake.
There wasn't really that much nudity in the movie, though, actually.
No, not really. Lots of backsides, which is really nothing.
It's like, I don't know, it's like this director had, he had some sort of a fixation on people's, their spines or something. This was like was this PG?
No, they wouldn't show the things they did on PG.
It was pretty PG. So, Safi, talk about the damn movie. I don't have anything
Well,
to say
it was supposed to be
about this
like
trash.
It was supposed to be like a horror movie because, like I said, the way it starts out, you think it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre because you know that they're
Safi, don't explain the movie.
Well, you just know
Say
they're
what
headed
you
for
thought
a
about the
problem.
movie.
What did I think about it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll give it a C minus.
Did you?
And the reason why I do that is because one of them actually gets away.
Oh, you just spoiled it, you dipshit.
You said you wanted me to. Well, I was happy about that. That made me happy because usually in these other movies we've been watching, nobody gets away. Well, you could have been talking.
I don't have anything to say about this shit.
But other than that, there's the usual killing. But then, in addition, I don't know what this was weird because I'm thinking, where are they? Because I never heard if they said it. I didn't hear it. I didn't see anything on anybody's car or building or anything. I guess I missed it, but it seemed like they were in Texas or Oklahoma, Kansas.
Oh my God.
And
Safi.
they had some kind of sea monster.
What?
And I thought it was, is this an alligator or a crocodile?
Yeah, it is.
Somebody put it in the water like it was their pet.
Yeah, it's an alligator, Safi. How'd you ever guess that? How'd you ever guess that, Safi?
I don't think it was. I think it was something else.
Yes, Safi, that was an alligator.
I don't know. I'm not positive about that.
Yeah, that was an alligator, Safi.
It didn't look like an alligator. It was all, an alligator has rough plates on it. They call them plates on its body. But it looks smooth to me like it's a gigantic eel or something. And I'm like, what the hell?
Why don't you stop with these conspiracy theories?
Well, anyway, that was weird.
Yeah, everything you've said is weird.
So it was different. I mean, you never have anything like that unless you're doing a horror movie about the ocean.
There's never been an alligator in a horror movie? Is that what you're saying,
Not in the middle
Safi?
of Texas or wherever that was. No. Not really.
Okay.
The only way they would have something like that is if somebody had a pet and released it into the water because they couldn't take care of it. And then it just eats whatever prey it can find, and because there's probably so much of it, they're not used to having that kind of attacker. Marco, either you want me to talk about the movie or you don't.
You're not even talking. Just say what you thought about this shitty fucking.
I told you, I gave it a C minus because
what's C minus? You don't rate letter grades for movies on this channel.
I will give the food grade at the end.
Heresy.
I think it's just an average, kind of a below average movie.
Really?
And C minus is kind of like in my mind.
Yeah, you like this.
That's average, but really minus gives it a below average.
We don't rate movies in terms of letters on this channel.
I know, but that's okay.
We don't do that.
Okay, well,
that's not our brand.
Oh, geez. We're not on the food review yet, but I have my food review, and I think it perfectly
it probably
illustrates.
Sucks.
Well, that's not. You're not supposed to be judging.
What'd you think about this piece of shit movie, Safi?
I just told you it was below average.
Explain your thoughts. Just say what you thought. What is your analysis of this piece of shit movie?
I guess if you're a fan of older people, like in their 90s, you're probably amazed about their sexuality and also the fact that they could overtake all these very young, strapping, I guess that's what people call them. Muscular people who work out, these boys who are, they're not little tiny kids, they're big men.
God,
they've worked out, and the girls are young and they're not weak, and they were able to overtake all these people. And it's like, how could that happen? They're in their 90s, but and so that's what you would come away with. Like, I don't know if the director was a fan of old people, or he just wanted to show a movie about old people being who could do a horror movie. I mean, you have to wonder, were those people really that old? I mean, in real life, were they near that old, or were they made up? I think the man was older. I don't know about the woman. She had kind of a young face.
What did you think about the movie, though, Safi?
I told you, it was a below-average movie. There wasn't much dialogue, but of course, they're porno movie makers.
Yeah,
Is there a lot of dialogue in a porno movie? I kind of doubt it. I think the thing about porno movies is what they do. It's not what they say. Okay?
Well, they didn't do very much because...
No, it was pretty... It was okay at first. Everybody was okay at first. You thought, well, maybe you're wrong.
Pretty tame.
Because I did not know what this movie was about. It just seemed like it was going to be a horror movie. And the music, too, was very minimal. And sometimes, the music can be a signal of something that's going to happen. And there really wasn't anything like that. And so when something did happen, the music, or whatever you want to call it, the sound, came in after the fact or while it was happening. So it was too late then. Whatever was happening happened. So I don't know what else to say. There just wasn't much to it. Even when there was killing, it was very quick and you almost missed it.
God,
if you didn't really watch, and you
Safi,
still really didn't.
Why don't you ask me the questions?
Okay, Marco, what did you think about the movie? And what did you think about the action? And the actors and
slow
what
down.
they said?
One question at a time.
Okay, what did you think about the movie?
Reporter Safi. I thought this movie it's just hard to even talk about because it's just so bad. It's just so bad. This movie was terrible. It was horrible. It was pointless and stupid and dumb and stupid and cliched and outdated and boring and uneventful and tame and lame and gay. What's your next question, Safi?
Well, what about the dialogue in the movie? Did you think there was much dialogue? And if there wasn't, do you think it's because they were not horror. They're porno movie makers.
No, that's not.
And did you think the reason why it was called X
was
because they were porno movie makers?
No, obviously, Safi. I mean, that's an obvious question. But the dialogue thing, no, because that's not realistic at all. They should have... there's hardly any talking in the movie, but that was just one of the many problems. And to just say that the movie's only problem is that there's no dialogue is a complete oversimplification of how shitty and terrible this piece of shit movie is.
Okay, well...
What's your next question? I'm taking a couple more.
You're really... I know you're really into the, quote, kills. So what did you think about the, quote, kills? And what did you think about the monster in the water? You say it's an alligator. I say it's a... I don't know. It's like... what would you call it? What's that monster in Scotland? Loch Ness Monster. This was the Texas
Safi was an alligator.
I don't know. It didn't look like an
Safi.
alligator to me.
Safi was an
It
alligator.
probably wasn't. They just didn't have enough money to make it look like an alligator, so they just threw this kind of thing in the water, and
Safi was an alligator.
it didn't look like an alligator to me. But I guess people, if you want to watch this movie, and you will tell me,
I thought you were asking.
was it an alligator or was it I don't know, a Loch Ness monster in the middle of
Safi.
Texas?
Safi.
Okay, I could ask you too. Where did this movie take place?
I was supposed to ask. Oh, God, Safi. This movie is kills because Safi. God. Oh. This movie's kills. You know, they kind of reminded me of like a student film's kills or something. They really weren't that good at all. They were kind of like PG kills to me. Like, they really weren't that violent or impressive at all. None of the movie was scary. There wasn't any scares in this movie. There was nothing scary about it. This was like a giant waste of time, and the trailer made it look better than it was. And it was just terrible. It was terrible. Safi.
Okay, well,
What's your next
thought?
question?
You know what I thought when
okay.
I first saw the movie too, after the initial part where I thought, God, is this a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie?
It's in Texas, Safi.
Ah, there you go. Of course. Could have been the middle of Kansas too, but it's all plains
Safi,
there.
it's Texas.
Okay. And anyway, I thought Marco knows this YouTuber, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he swears up and down that he's made all these movies, and they have yet to come out. Now, I'm not going to say what they are called or anything about them. They are supposed to be kind of like horror, comedy, whatever. And I thought, is this one of the movies that guy made? And that's another thing that Marco said, this is like a student-run production where
This was like a children's play. This was
the pretend sex would not be.
It was
there's
lame
no
and
parent
tame.
out there
It was lame and tame.
like that.
It was not. It was fake. It was GAY looking. It was completely just lame. It was like a bunch of, I don't know, this is so bad.
Okay, well, I don't know what else to
so
ask you.
Bad.
Were you, okay, I'll just ask you this. Were you surprised by the ending? You don't have to say what it was.
Not at all.
Not at all, okay.
This is typical.
I had that feeling too.
Typical cliche bullshit where the movie starts off, you see the girl, and, you know, she's very boring. She's very bland.
There's drug use in the movie too.
Oh, Safi, what
I forgot
the
to say.
fuck?
Well, it's good to tell people if they
Safi,
are offended by certain things, they need to know.
What are you running, like a Christian?
No, I'm
film
just telling
group or
people
something?
that they.
Like, oh, you better not watch this movie
I'm not telling you not to watch it. I'm telling you.
There's a swear in it. Somebody says hell in the movie.
I never said that. I'm just telling people if they're offended by something like that, it's in there.
Safi.
Okay?
Safi. Well, what was I saying?
Anything,
you just completely derailed what I was saying about this shitty movie. Now we're going to have to talk about it more because I just forgot what I was saying. What was I saying, Safi?
I don't know.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was talking about.
We're talking about the ending.
Okay, no, I wasn't. I was talking. No, I wasn't. Okay.
And then you went on from there.
Yeah. Well, I went on to somewhere else. This main girl, she was vanilla extract, and I've had extract before, raw, and she embodies vanilla extract, and the moment you see her, you know she's going to survive the movie. She's the final girl. She's the special one. because she's the most bland. Well, actually, there's another girl who's pretty bland too.
I thought that one was more bland.
She was.
Maybe she was just too bland.
She was worse, but they're both really bland. And she's even on the poster. I mean, you look at the poster, and it's her holding an axe, and it's like, oh, I wonder who's going to survive this movie.
Uh-huh.
I wonder who. And it's just...
Who do they show with the axe?
The survivor girl.
What?
Yeah.
She's not the one who had that. It was the other one.
And let's just... This movie's just so bad. It's just so bad. Safi. But let's just talk about the rest of the cast. You got Bargain Bin Matthew McConaughey. He was literally Matthew McConaughey, except for he had a different face, and he was fine. He really, they're just so one-dimensional characters. It just makes me want to throw up. These characters are not characters. They're just cardboard cutouts. And then you have the slut girl, the blonde girl. And she was probably the best character because she was the one who was the most dynamic. But she was still trash. And you wouldn't want to root for someone like that in a horror movie. And then, and I don't know any of their names either, so. And then you have the black guy, I think his name was Jackson or something, I don't know. And he was boring. And he's just a stereotype. And then you had the sound girl, and she was boring. And then you had her boyfriend. He was boring. So you just have these boring, one-dimensional characters. And I'm not kidding you guys, it takes an hour for a single kill to happen. It is an hour of trash before anything happens. And when it happens, it's like, what the fuck? Like, what is this crap? What is going on here? Like, what is this? Stupid shit. And then, let's talk about the villains of the movie. You got the old woman and the old man. Safi. I mean, people complained about Texas Chainsaw having an old Leatherface. And those same people, if they like this movie, they're completely hypocritical. Because this movie, I mean, it was like, what is going on? Like, just, these old people are bad because something, and and they're sexually frustrated or something.
She's a sex addict.
And just...
A 90-something-year-old sex addict. And he was in the military. That was another weird thing.
What's his problem, though? Why is he evil? Why is he evil?
I don't know, but why would he kill a fellow Marine? The black guy was in the Marines. He had been in the Marines, too. And so was this man, apparently. This old man. And he killed him. He shot him with a shotgun at close range. Why? I was confused. So I just think he's as twisted as his wife, but in a different way.
Why?
I don't know.
This movie was just a giant waste of time.
Okay, well, maybe we should wrap it up then.
What's your food review?
My food review is the dinner we had last night.
Oh!
It was used to be pork
Gross.
lo mein, and it wasn't cooked. You had thin noodles. Now, thin noodles are very easy to cook because they don't take as much time as the regular thick noodles, okay? And then you have, what else is in it? We have broccoli pieces, carrot pieces, and then you have the pork, which is from pork chops, cut up pork chops. And they were on the thin side because that's what I was told to get. And I bought plenty because we never seemed to have enough of the meat. So I bought plenty because that's all you could get were bigger packs. And the only thing in it that was good, and I'll say good in quotes, because I still had to, it still took something to chew it. But everything else wasn't really cooked enough. The carrots might have been just barely cooked enough, but the broccoli, I mean, when you have one of the vegetables like that, it's not even cooked. And this is part of the problem. We have been trying to go out to eat Chinese food once a week. Not once a week, but, at least every other week. And then the other week we'd have pizza, kind of alternate. Well, the Chinese restaurants around here don't cook their food. And you end up with... I can't stand it. If you're going to eat raw vegetables, that's fine. Get some dip and have some cut up raw vegetables. But you don't want that in your food. You don't want raw, oh God, it just makes me ill. And it also didn't taste that. I put a ton of soy sauce on it.
Yeah, I couldn't even taste the soy sauce I put on.
And you could cook. What you do is you cook it in each thing.
It had no flavor.
You cook it in what is the thickener called? And the soy sauce. And so it should be on each thing. The noodles, the broccoli, the carrots, the pork, all of it. Each one has its own dose of that stuff. And it wasn't very tasty. I poured tons of extra soy sauce because last time I put hoisin sauce on it. Was horrible. I couldn't even eat. I ruined my own dinner, and it was actually a better meal than this one. And somebody who was cooking it was watching basketball, and I guess they were so enamored of what they were watching they could not pay attention to what they were doing, so there was no flavor and nothing was cooked. Even the noodles, skinny noodles too, it wasn't really cooked enough.
Yeah, I didn't even eat it.
And so the pork, which was okay, and I could eat it, although it was extra chewy, that represented the person who got away. And she wasn't that great, but the pork wasn't that great.
You're saying she is chewy pork?
Yeah, she's chewy pork, but everything else was a bad meal. So it's a bad movie, it equals a bad meal. And Marco and I were so hungry, I had to have a bowl of cereal before I went to bed, or I was going to be sick. And I can't eat a lot of desserts. They don't agree with me anymore. So I can't just go have a bowl of ice cream or something like that. It doesn't agree with me. I can't eat it. It makes me sick. So Marco, you tell them what you thought of the movie in terms of food, because that's really what it was. A kind of a really less than favorable meal.
Well, Safi, did you also know that this movie was supposed to be comedic?
What? Now that is... There wasn't anything comedic about it.
Like the cringeworthy part where that girl said that he needs to look like he's pissing in the car to fill up the gas or something.
I
Like
didn't
that was.
hear that, but whatever that
You
was,
didn't?
no, but that's stupid and it doesn't mean anything.
That was bizarre.
That is bizarre. Well, like I said, there's a few weird things.
The whole movie's a weird thing.
I've never seen.
The whole movie's a weird trash thing.
This is a horror movie, so you always find some kind of weird thing, but that's what.
This is a weird thing.
There's a lot of really extra weird things that
Weird.
you don't see in other movies.
Weird things.
Like a weird swamp monster.
Weird alligator. Okay, my food review is, and I thought that this would be a really good movie, and of course not. It's 2022, and this is probably the third worst movie I've seen this year so far. It is that bad. I would not recommend watching it at all, and I would give it. When I started to watch the movie, I was excited. And I thought, like, out of the 3 movies that I watched for this weekend, which I watched 2 other movies that I reviewed yesterday, this movie was the worst one. But I thought that it would be the best one. And I made some popcorn because we were doing a late review and I haven't even had lunch yet. And we did this late review, and I ate the popcorn, and it was Orville Redenbacher's Natural Light and Butter, Salt and Butter. And so it was quote-unquote natural. And I started eating it, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. It's salty, it's nice, and but then as the movie started going, within like the first minute, I should say, because that's how bad this movie was that in the first minute you started immediately noticing that this movie was going to be one giant disappointment. And I put the popcorn in my mouth, and there were all these pieces that I had to spit out because they were still half of them were hard, and so there was like a hard kernel part in all the different pieces, and it was deceiving because on the outside it looked like it would be just fine popcorn pieces. And there were lots of other popcorn pieces that I ate, and there were a couple bad ones, and just it didn't pop all the corn too, which is a frequent problem with certain brands. And at the end, when I finished eating the popcorn, there was still 40 minutes of the movie left. And guess what happened after I ate the popcorn, Safi?
I don't know.
My mouth was coated in some sort of an oil that they used to make this natural popcorn. And so my mouth was completely like, there was this gross, weird, dry, weird feeling of your mouth coated in a weird, greasy oil. And that's what this movie was. This movie is the biggest disappointment so far of the year. I don't have anything really to say about it except for, I don't even need to say anything about this trash piece of shit movie. It's right in front of you. Like, if you watch this movie, if you just read the synopsises on... Safi, you're ruining the joke. But if you just read what happens in the movie, you'll just know that this shit is trash. Like, I don't even have to say anything. Why should I have to? It's obvious. This movie is terrible. It is a bargain bin, waste of time, stupid movie. I mean, what was the idea? What was the idea? Safi, what do you think the idea was? What was the idea?
I don't know, because there's so many little weird things.
Weird
like
little messages like this.
The first, it was really old people who really, I mean, they're lucky to even be functioning in their home and not in some rest home. and then so they were able to feed themselves and clothe themselves and take a bath and go to bed and whatever, and maybe walk around the farm. They had a farm. But so, and then you have the wife, and she's upset because her husband won't have sex with her, and she wants to have sex with all these people, women and men. So she's like a sex addict, and she's frustrated. And then you have him. I can't figure him out at all. I don't understand why he would kill a fellow Marine, because the guy told him he had served, and he told him what he did and what they shared, and I don't get it. And then they had this monster in the pond, whether it's an alligator or not,
alligator
in the middle of Texas. It really is an anomaly. Okay? And then I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird. So I don't know what they were trying to do, because there are so many little clinkers in there that it's not even recognizable as the usual horror movie.
What would you
So
think?
I don't think we need to
why
talk
do
about
they,
it anymore. If it's no good, why even go on?
why did they just copy everything too? Like, why do they?
I don't
Why are they,
know.
like,
It was like the
copying
beginning of
Texas
it.
Chainsaw?
Yeah, I know. I was like, God. And you know what the old man reminded me of? You know, in all these Texas Chainsaw movies, you have this really old man. He looks like he's been dug up from his coffin, and that they feed him something. I don't even know what they feed him, and I don't think he talks, and if he does, it's like grunting and unrecognizable words, and he sits in the chair, and he looks like he's half out of the grave. And this old man was just about, and his wife were just about like that. So you're like, did this guy want to show that old people can be murder or horror people too? I have no idea. So I don't have anything else to say about it, because it's not. If you want to watch it and you tell me what you think
don't
about
watch this movie.
if that's an alligator or sea monster.
Don't waste your time watching this movie.
Yeah, don't. If you don't have lots of time, which I don't, but I still had to watch it.
Yeah, watch Windfall.
What?
Safi.
Okay, well, do you have anything else to say about the movie?
Well, no.
Okay. Well, if you like this video, why don't you press the like button? I'd really appreciate it. I think Marco would too. And then if you would like to be one of our subscribers and participate in a discussion, and you don't have to agree with this.
I don't want to talk about this movie anymore.
Okay, so if you want to be one of our subscribers, we welcome all subscribers, because we like a discussion, an honest discussion. Even if you don't agree, that's fine, because why should you? We're not supposed to be clones of each other.
Safi, you can discuss this movie with people.
So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.